Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to Try It, the Power of Global MARC update. A couple of things before we get started. The goals of the webinar are practical, to provide you with practical knowledge of functionality within the system. Consumable, to provide enough of the basics so that you're equipped to take knowledge back to your library to try it. And expandable, to provide awareness of functionality you otherwise didn't know about and can share with others. A couple of then just guidelines for the webinar. If you are streaming the audio, it is best to use headphones. If you have questions, please submit them through the GoToWebinar questions widget, and they will be answered at the end of the presentation. Following the webinar, we will post any deliverables to the CARL community website. And please email any questions on the session to me, Cindy Phillips, Training and Implementation Manager at tryit@tlcdelivers.com. So now we'll get started. Beth Lazarczyk, our product owner and subject matter expert for cataloging, will be doing this session. Take it away, Beth.
Muted. Unmuted.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. As Cindy shared, my name is Beth Lazarczyk, and I've recently taken on the subject matter expert area of cataloging, which includes our global updates offerings. With me today is Ebony Pacheco-Hoos, who has been a real ringleader in the development of Global MARC Update, and she can help answer any questions that I may not be able to.
Muted.
So with that, let's begin with a brief refresher. Within CARL-X, our global updates offering is Global Item Update and Global MARC Update. Global Item Update provides the ability to search and retrieve item records and apply updates. It is available within the Global Update section in CARL-X staff and is permissions driven. What we will be talking about today is Global MARC Update, and this allows us to search and retrieve bibliographic records and to apply updates to them in batch. It is available within the CARL-X cataloging client, which we will take a look at in just a few moments. We do want to expand our global updates within CARL, and some of the things that we are looking at on our roadmap are global acquisitions updates and global patron updates. And the strategy for those will most likely be to build them within CARL Connect staff as opposed to the Windows client where Global MARC Update and Global Items Update are today. So as I just mentioned, Global MARC Update, or GMU as we call it, gives us the ability to update bibliographic records in batch and gives users the ability to search and upload lists within this interface and apply those updates using the GMU scripting or by using existing macros. It is intended for the experts in your organization who really know the ins and outs of your MARC data. To that end, it is intended to empower catalogers to complete this searching and updating without the need to rely on a system administrator. In addition to providing the ability to update bib records, it is a powerful and non-traditional searching tool, and our library customers have requested the ability to give their staff this list building capability without necessarily giving them the ability to update records. So GMU is permissions driven, and there are separate permissions available for the searching or list building aspect of the functionality versus the updating aspect. So with that, let's actually dive into GMU and take a look. Since this is just a 30-minute try it, we're going to take a fairly high-level look at GMU with some basic searches, but the more you use it and learn the layout of the scripting, you'll be able to create much more complicated lists. Also, in the PowerPoint that we will be posting to CARL Community along with this recording, I've added some additional sample global MARC update scripts that we won't be talking about today, but they will be there for you to play around with in your test environment as a way to begin to better learn and understand the scripting language. GMU, or Global MARC Update, is available in the cataloging client, which I have open here, and you can open it using the M in the toolbar or from the components drop-down list. Once opened, you'll be presented with the search script window, and this is where you will begin to build the list of records that you can potentially update. there are a couple different ways to pull together a list of records. And there's the ability to upload an existing list of BIDs that you may have saved off. And you can do this using the Upload BIDs button here. So if you have run a report at some point prior and you have a list of records, you can simply upload that CSV or text file into Global MARC Update. So I'll do that quickly right now. For larger files, you'll receive a message that a record upload is in process, but this one was quick because it's only 5 records. When the upload is complete, you'll see the number of records that were uploaded. This one was 5. You'll see the BID list at the top showing the BID and the title of the record, and you can highlight individual BIDs for a read-only view of the MARC record. So this bottom portion is read-only, and then you can kind of scroll through your BIDs at the top. You can also select all the records in the list, or using your control key, you can select just the ones that you want. You can also remove records from the list using this Remove Selected Rows button. The other way to generate your list of records is through our searching functionality. So I'm going to go back. When searching, you can use any combination of the fields in the search script window to create your script. I'm going to start my search by entering a BID range. Now, you don't have to enter a BID range, but if you don't, you will be searching all of your bibliographic records. So I'm going to do a quick search for this BID range, and you'll see that we have 129 records, so a pretty small group of records for our demoing purposes. And I also wanted to share just a quick note here about how this searching works. It doesn't care about titles per se, it cares about the tags in the MARC record. So it is looking at the raw MARC data. It isn't concerned with how things are indexed. Again, just that MARC data. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a really powerful tool that can be put in the hands of your catalogers as opposed to other staff who may not know MARC format. It's really for the catalogers who know why the global MARC updates are important and the changes that are needed for those records. So now we'll take a look at an example of how searching works, and then we will take a look at another search and actually update some records. So first we have our BID range, and we're going to search for all the records that have a 650-second indicator of 0. So as you can see, I'm just typing that into my search script fields. So this will pull all the records that have a Library of Congress subject heading. You can see that's 113 records were found that meet that criteria within the BID range that I entered. I want to narrow that down even further. Maybe I want to go beyond just seeing the LOC subject headings, and I want to find 650s where the subfield V contains fiction, the word fiction. So you can see that I can really start building up what it is I'm actually looking for by refining my search. And in this case, my search turned up 15 records. I'll go ahead and add those to my list, and from there, I can work with the records. It might just take a minute to load those in. As we saw when I uploaded the list of BIDs earlier, I have the number of records shown, so we have 15, and I can spot check the list to see that these were really the records I was looking for. So if I scroll down, I do see my fiction. You can spot check that as little or as much as you want. I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to delete what I have in there because I want you to pay close attention to my search script box at the bottom. So as I type the fields in, it's going to be writing it to the script box below. The idea is the more that you use Global MARC Update, the more familiar you will become with the SQL-like query language that is used, meaning you could begin creating queries as sort of a power user directly within this script box. And we'll take a look at a very easy example of that next. So as you'll see, I'll put my 650 subfield V and fiction. So it's spelling that script out in the box below. So now that we have seen a bit about how searching works within GMU, we'll complete a search and update using the script fields as well as the scripting language in the box. In just a second, let me just clear out my previous search. What we're going to look for today are 245 title tags with incorrect indicator data. And as our catalogers know, when you have titles that begin with an article, the second indicator is essential for proper indexing. So if you have a title that starts with the word the cataloger needs to remember to set the second indicator to the number 4. This is important because that indicator will skip the word the when the title is searched in the catalog. If that indicator is missing or incorrect, the indexing will be off and patrons will have trouble finding the record. So based on all that, we're going to create a search to find these records. So we are going to look for all 245 tags. That's our title tag. That has the subfield A and starts with the word the. When the title, hold on one sec. So based on all that, okay. One important thing that I'm going to do here is add a space after the word the. And this is because your search will pull up words like them or their. So you want to make sure it's really only pulling the word the. You want those other words excluded. And to confirm that that space is present, I can just look down here and see that I do have a space after the word the. So that put it there for me. When I select search, to see how many we have, we get 21 records. And we aren't going to add these to our list just yet because we want to refine it further. Now we're going to narrow this down to 245 tags that contain a subfield A and start with the word the, and also have a second indicator of 4. So in theory, the search should have brought back 21 records. And the fact that it didn't indicates that we have some cataloging that we need to clean up because we only had 16. So how do we find those 5 records that do not have a second indicator of 4? Well, we can achieve this by editing the text directly in our script box. So what we want to do is come down to our second line here. And where it says, and any tag 245 second indicator is 4, we want to change that to is not 4. So there we have our 5 records. And I'm going to add those to my list. And we'll do a quick look here, see where we might have gone wrong. Yeah, we can see here that our 245 second indicator has a 0. And I'm guessing that's the case for all of these here because I'm the one who went in and made them wrong so that we could correct them. So now I'm going to hit next. And this takes me to the screen where I have an opportunity to build my search for updating and then review what it'll be changed to. It's a similar script, as you can see, to our search script window from before. So I'm going to update all of my 2, 4, 5 second indicators from my list of 5 to 4, to the indicator 4. And I'll do that here, this update screen, so 245. And I'll do that by typing a space here before I type my 4 to get to my second indicator. And you can kind of confirm that again by looking in your script box below. And I'm going to hit next. And this is where I have my before and after. So you can look at each record individually if you choose to make sure that the change that you put in place is really what you want to be updating. So we'll go here. We see my 245 with our 0 indicator, second indicator. And once we run our global MARC update, that's changed to 4. So I'm going to go ahead and update these. And this one's going to go really quick because it's just a few records. But if you're completing a larger global MARC update, what you can do, because it will potentially take some time, is go into view here in your client and look at your service process monitor, and you'll see that running here in the top. And then as it completes the process, it'll move down here. So let's redo our search just to see that we have the correct indicator data. So again, we're going to look for our 245 tags, subfield A with the word the. Our 245 indicator is 4. And now when we execute this search where we had 16 before, we should see 21, but not sure. Oh, my not is still there. Thank you, Ebony. So there we go. So we updated those 5 records with the incorrect data, indicator data, and now they all have the correct second indicator. So our patrons won't have problems finding what they're looking for. We also have the ability to update records using existing macro scripts. And talking about the creation of macro scripts is a topic for another day. But in simple terms, macros are scripts that are written using the Python programming language that are used to perform automatic record manipulation. So we'll do a quick BID search and we'll update a few records using a macro. So I'm going to just clear my previous search criteria. And type in a new BID range. So I'm going to add these to my list. These are records that I brought over from OCLC. So that I want to add to my catalog. So they include some tags that I'm not interested in keeping in the record. So things like there's a bunch of 029s, which are OCLC control numbers. We also have some 938 tags that we're not interested in keeping. Those are vendor-specific ordering data. We also have some Sears headings and some fast headings that we just aren't interested in having in our record. So we have a macro that will automatically remove these from all the records on my list. So I'm going to go next. And instead of using the update script as we did in our last example, we're going to choose our macros scripts tab. We have a few macros that have been set up in our system, and as you can see, these macros can be created privately for the user who created them, or they can be shared within the organization, and these ones are all shared within my organization. And the one that we're going to run is our delete tags macro. So that we can clean up those tags within the MARC record from OCLC that we looked at a moment ago before we actually save those records into the system. So I've selected my macro, I'm choosing next. Again, we have our before and after look. So if we take a look at one of these befores, as we saw earlier, there were all kinds of 029s and 938s. And we look at our record, once we clean it up with our macro, those are all gone. We also will have removed those headings that we weren't interested in from the 650 and 655, the Sears and the fast headings. So I'm going to go ahead and run my macro and update these records. Again, that went super quick because it's just 5 records, but you could look at the progress monitor to check on your work. What I'm going to do now is take a look at one of my BIDs that we just cleaned up just to confirm that we truly removed the tags we were hoping to remove. So now when we open this BID, we see that we don't have those 029s, we don't have those 938s, we don't have our fast headings and our Sears headings. We have just what we want. So I'm going to just go ahead and save this to my live database. So that was a high-level view of Global MARC Update. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint really quick here. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I added in a few sample GMU update scripts that you can play with within your test environment. Again, just to kind of get more familiar with that scripting language. The scripts I placed here are some kind of commonly used scripts that libraries may want. There's the ability to edit fixed field bytes. There's the ability to add text to the beginning of an existing subfield. Entering appropriate commands, we can replace text within a tag, and we can search for records that begin with. So those are all kind of examples of how you can achieve that. Did anyone have any questions, Cindy, that came into the questions widget for GMU? No questions? Okay. Well, if you do have questions, a good place to start asking those would be in Carl Community in the forum. You could also reach out to your site manager who can help you coordinate with the right people here to talk through this with a little more detail if you would like. I also want to plug our Try It for next month on August 15th, and that registration will open on August 1st, and that is for exploring patron validation and authentication.
Unmuted.
All right, thank you all so much for attending, and we hope to see you for the next Try It or How Things Work.
Muted. Unmuted.